Shabbat Shalom from Dublin, Ireland, the Emerald Isle and the Fair City. We're going to be joined for this Kabbalat Shabbat by Rabbi Michael Laitner, but he is actually stuck in traffic. One of our notorious roads has got lots of traffic, but he should be here momentarily. My name is Carl Nelkin. I'm from Dublin, born and raised here, and I'm delighted to be invited to lead Kabbalat Shabbat. So without further ado, we will start with Yedid Nefesh. For those of you who have the Art Scroll Siddur, it's going to be page 590. Yedid Nefesh Avor Rachamon Meshoch Avtecha Eretzonecha Yorus Avtecha Kemawayar Yishtachave El Mol Hadorecho Yerav Elo Yedidosecha Minafesu V'chol Tovam Haduna V'Zivom Olam Nafshi Chalas Avosecha Ono Eno Refono Lo Be'aros La Noam Zifecho Ostis Kazek Vesisherape Beho Yisrael Simcha Solam Hosik Yemuna Rachamecha Vechusana Al Beinahu Mecha Ki ze kamon nisaf heti liros mehero b'sefer Shecho elechem dalibi v'chusana v'yati salam Higolena uferos chami v'olai Eshu kashelomecha Tovir eretz mikvadecha Nagila v'nishmecha Mahereho kimamawet v'chanenu kimei olam La 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 Ya la 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 Ya la 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 Ya la 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 Ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 So we turn now to Lechuna Ranano. If you have the art scroll, it's page 308. Lechu neraneno l'Adonai Noriah letzur yishenu nekadmo fanav besada bizeniros nariola. Moim shana akud medar v'amaram toilev avhem vehem la yadu dirachai Hashem nishpati v'api im yevaun el menuchasi Shir l'Adonai shir chadash Shir l'Adonai kol ha'aretz Shir l'Adonai baruch shema Basmiyam leyam yeshuosa Ay 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 sapru v'agayim kevado Bechol ha'amim nifleosav Ki gadol Adonai u'mehula ma'od Norahu akol Elohim Ki kol Elohim ha'amim elilim Adonai shamayim osa Hod ve'yado lefanav Houses Eretz B'mikdosho Ay 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 Havod Adonai mishpechas hamim Havod Adonai kavod v'amaz Havod Adonai kevod shemo Sumin chova ulechas rosa Yishachvod Adonai behadras kodesh Kilo mipono kol ha'aretz Himru v'agayim Adonai molach Hatikan tevel bal timot Ay 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 Yalai lalai 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 Yalai lalai lalai Yalai lalai 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 Yodinami b'meisharim Yismechu hashamayim V'sogel ha'aretz Yiram hayom u'malo Yalo sodai mechol asher bo Al tiranenu kol aseh yovar Lifnei Adonai kivo lishpat ha'aretz Ishpat tevel besedek V'yamim emunosah Ave Adonai Sinura Shomen Ashaz Chasido Miad Rishonim Yasilem Orzoru ala Tzadik U'liyishrei Simcha Simechu Tzadikim Adonai V'hadu Lezecher Kodsho Mizmor Shir l'Adonai Shir Chadash Ki nifelo Asaso Hashila Yemina Uzra V'Kodsho Hadiya Adonai Yeshuoso Leinei agayim gilos hikoso Tzachasta v'emunoso L'beis Yisrael Ra'u kol aseh yores Eis Yeshua Elohenu Hariu l'Adonai Kol ha'aretz Pischu v'ranenu v'zan Ameru Zamru Ladonoi Bechina Bechinor Vikol Zimera Bechasos Ros Vikol Shofar Hariu Lifnei Amelech Adonoi Yiramaya Umala Yalalai Lai 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 Yalalai Lai 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 Tevel V'Yoshevebo Neharas Imecha Uchav Yachad Harim Yiranenu Lifnei Adonai Kivo Lishpat Hawares Yishpat Tevel Besedek V'Yamim B'Mesharim. Moshe v'Aaron v'Kohanov u'Shemuel v'Korei Shema Karim el Adonai v'hu yanem v'yamud anan yidaber aleihem Shomru edosav v'chok nosan lomar Adonai Eloheinu Achoan Yisam El Nosei Yisolohem V'nokem Alalilosam Ramemu Adonai Eloheinu V'yishtachavu lehakodsho ki kodosh Adonai Eloheinu Mizmar leDavid Avol Adonai b'nei Elim Avol Adonai Ke'avod v'amos Ay 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 Avol Adonai Ke'avod shemo Yishachol Adonai b'haras kodesh Kol Adonai al hamayim El hakovot yirim Adonai hamayim rabim Kol Adonai b'koach Kol Adonai b'hodor Kol Adonai shomer arozim Ay 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 Vashaber Adonai Esar ze'avonon Vayar kidem k'mo egel Levonon ve'Sirion K'mo ben reimim Kol Adonai Chosev lahavasesh Kol Adonai Yachil midbar Ay 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 Yachil Adonai midbar kodesh Kol Adonai Yachol elayolos Vayechesov yeyoros Ufecholav kulam mekomot Adonai lamabol yoshav Vayesh Adonai melech leolam Adonai oslamo yitein Adonai vorech esamo v'shalom Lecha dati likras kala penei Shabbos nekabela Lecha dati likras kala penei זוכר בדיבור אחד השמיענו אל המיוחד אדוני אחד ושמו אחד לשם ולספרס ולסלה Lecha dadi likras kala penei Shabbos nekabela likras Shabbos lechu b'nei lecha ki mekar habaraka merosh mikeden nesucho so maseh machshavot tchila lecha dadi likras kala penei Shabbos nekabela lecha dadi likras kala penei Shabbos nekabela Likerat Shabbos lechu b'necha ki mekar haberaka merosh mikeden nesucha so maseh machshavot tchila Migdash melech ir melucho Kumi sei mitoch hafecha Rav lo sheves v'yemek habocho V'hu yachemol olaychem elo Yalalai lalalai yalalai 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 Lecha dadi likras kala Yalalai 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 Pnei Shabbos nekabla Aha isnari meyofor kumi liv shebigdei Sefar techami Ahal yad ben Yishai Beis halachmi Korbo el nashi geyola Yalalai 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 Lecha dadi likras kala Yalalai 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 Pnei Shabbos nekabla Aha Hisoreri Ki morech Kumiyari Aha Uri Shidaberi Kevod Adonai Olayich nigela Yalalai 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 Lecha dadi likras kala Yalalai 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 Pnei Shabbos nekabla Lo sevashi velo sikolemi Mati chachachi umatemi Pochi chesu ani yami Hinim nesawi ratila Lecha dadi likras kala Penei Shabbos nekabla V'hayolim shiso asayich V'rochaku komi v'alayich Yasiso layich Elohayich Kim sascho sonal kalo Lecha dadi likras kala Penei Shabbos nekabla Yamin nisma tiferosi V'yes Adonai tarisi Al Yadish ben Parsi Benismecho Venogilo Echodadi Likras Kalam Penei Shabbos Nekabela. So we finish here because if we go any further, we brought in Shabbos, and it's clearly too early for that. So the rabbi has arrived, so I'll hand over to him.
Okay. First of all, a massive thank you to Carl for that beautiful Kabbalat Shabbat, and also to Omer, and to Alan, and to Seton as well. And a big thank you to everyone here in the Dublin Hebrew Congregation for hosting us this Shabbat, and for bringing us this wonderful Kabbalat Shabbat as well. Such a pleasure to be here. And thank you, Carl and Omer, for starting as well. I had an eventful journey, which actually works well with what I'm just going to say to you now about our Parashat. First of all, it's a Parashat about blessings. And here in Dublin, we're going to be marking some of the blessings of Jewish life, and particularly thinking about the upcoming second yahrzeit of Rabbi Lord Sachs, alav hashalom. And when he was here in 1997 at the induction of Rabbi Gavin Broder as the chief rabbi of Ireland, he described Irish Jewry, quoting from this week's parasha, as a place where v'nivrachu v'cha kol mishpachot ha'adama, and v'hayeh bracha, that you are a blessing here in Dublin and Irish Jewry, and through the work that takes place here, there is blessing for other people everywhere else. And when thinking of the impact of the Irish Jewish community, not just here, but also in so many other places in the world, I think it's a very fitting way to describe this community which we're being hosted by. So thank you once again, and we look forward to much blessing here over this Shabbat, and blessing for you all. Now, one of the curious parts of the parasha that we'll read tomorrow is one of the strange episodes in the life of Abraham. Abraham, of course, is told by God to go to a place which he didn't know where, and he finds out it's the land of Canaan. And then he doesn't seem to be there for very long. There's a famine, and he has to leave and go to Egypt, of all places. It was one of those moments where I suppose Abraham didn't really know what to do. So how do we understand this episode in his life? God says to him, go to Israel. He goes to Israel, he's there, and then suddenly there's a famine. And he's compelled to leave. And not only is he compelled to leave, but it puts his wife, Sarah, in some danger when they go down to Egypt. So what are we to learn from this particular episode in the life of Abraham? I was reading in the archives of Rabbi Sachs a fascinating anecdote which he told, which I think gives us an introduction to understanding the answer to this question. He said in 2009, the Irish Prime Minister, Brian Cowen, was at the White House, and he was due to speak alongside President Obama. And as the Irish Prime Minister got up and started to speak, he realized that the auto cue had got mixed up. And actually his speech was President Obama's. You can imagine the potential embarrassment, but he parked it and managed to deal with it, and everyone smiled. Then President Obama stands up and starts giving the speech which was meant to be given by Brian Cowen, and the whole place erupts with laughter. And Rabbi Sachs noted that there are times in life when one simply doesn't know what to do. It's difficult, but one has to try and smile and find that way through and recognize that there must be a purpose for it. And this, I think, is drawing on the teachings about Avraham going down to Egypt. The Netziv, one of the great 19th century rabbis, says this test for Avraham wasn't to test him per se. It was one of his 10 tests, but not to test him per se, but to try and teach him something. And perhaps the lesson that was being taught to him, as some of the other rabbinic commentaries explain, was that even when God says, go to Israel, and that's the place that you should be in, that doesn't mean that everything will automatically be easy. Everything will just be automatically done for you. There will still be tests, and perhaps sometimes even tribulations, which are meant to teach us things, whether it is that we have to survive with God's help, even if we think things are perfectly under control by ourselves, or whether it's recognizing that even when following God's commands, we have to grow through doing this, and that there are other things that we need to accomplish through that, and that we need to become better people. And perhaps Avraham, through the experience of having to make this decision, of not knowing necessarily what the script was, had to do it in a way which was going to be as faithful as possible to what God wanted him to do, recognizing God's hand in everything and maintaining his sense of emunah, his sense of faith in God's commands to him, what he would need to do afterwards. And I'd suggest as you read through the parasha tomorrow, take this line of thinking and see if you can find other examples of it. And I think you will see it as a very significant theme in the Parashat. So I wish you all a wonderful Shabbat. Thank you once again to Chazan Nelkin, to Omer, to everybody, to Nikki running our technical team. And from Dublin, we wish you all Shabbat Shalom. And when the time comes, please go light your candles and have a wonderful Shabbat.